If money confuses you, that's not your fault. You were thrown into the jungle with taxes, banks, credit scores, inflation, investing, and everyone yelling different advice. So today, everything gets stripped down to monkey-level simple. We're going to take one normal person, Joe, hand him a pile of bananas, and show how taxes, banks, interest, inflation, recessions, credit scores, money, investing, value, and time actually work together. By the end, you'll understand money better than most adults without needing a single textbook. Meet Joe. Joe has a job, a phone, a rent payment, and a constant low-level anxiety about money. He gets paid, the bananas land in his account, and then this happens. Taxes vanish. The bank does mysterious things. His credit score moves. Prices change. Investing sounds scary. We're going to walk through Joe's life like a story, from his first paycheck to his first investment, and every step in between. Every concept you hear today applies to you too. Joe is just you with a more generic name and worse hair. Joe gets his first real job. He looks at the job offer and thinks, wow, I'm going to make so many bananas. Then the first paycheck lands, and it's smaller. Some bananas are missing. Those missing bananas are called taxes. Taxes are the price of living in a functioning society. They pay for things like roads Joe drives on, schools kids learn in, defense and police and fire services, public health, parks, courts, and 1,000 boring things that quietly keep life from falling apart. Are they fun to pay? No. Does anyone wake up excited to donate more bananas to the tax monkey? Also no. But there's a reason countries with higher taxes often have better roads, better health care, better safety nets, and higher overall quality of life. You're basically paying the entry fee for civilization. As Joe earns and spends, he meets different tax flavors. Income tax, bananas taken from his pay for making money. Sales tax, bananas added when he buys stuff. Capital gains tax, bananas the government takes when he sells an investment for more than he bought it. And nearly everyone like Joe also pays Social Security tax, so old Joe has some money. Medicare tax, to help pay for health care when Joe is older or sick. Joe doesn't have to like taxes, he just has to understand some bananas must leave every paycheck. The goal isn't zero tax, the goal is to use what's left intelligently. Joe thinks his bank is a digital safe. He puts bananas in, they sit there. End of story. Wrong. A bank is more like a banana matchmaker. Joe deposits 1,000 bananas. The bank does not keep all 1,000 sitting there. It might keep, say, 100, and then lend 900 to someone else who wants to buy a car, start a business, purchase a house. That's called fractional reserve banking. The bank keeps a fraction for safety and sends the rest into the economy as loans. Banks earn money through interest. Let's say the bank pays Joe 1% interest on his savings, but it charges 10% interest on a loan it gives to someone else. The difference between what it pays Joe and what it earns on loans is its profit margin. Joe uses banks for 3 main reasons: convenience, cards, transfers, apps; safety. In many countries, deposits are insured up to a certain amount. Even if a bank fails, deposits are protected to that limit. Interest. His bananas earn a little something instead of sitting in a shoebox. But now Joe is curious. What is this interest really? Interest is the price tag for using someone else's bananas. When Joe borrows, interest is the rent he pays on those bananas. When Joe lends or saves, interest is the rent he earns. 2 basic types: simple interest, a flat fee based on the original amount, and compound interest, interest that gets added to the pile, and then that pile also earns interest. Compound interest is like bananas having babies, and those banana babies having banana babies. For Joe, interest can either blow him up or make him rich slowly. If Joe puts 1,000 bananas on a credit card at very high interest and only pays the minimum, compound interest works against him. Interest gets charged on the debt, That unpaid interest gets added to the balance, then the next interest charge is calculated on a bigger number. That's why debt can grow like mold in a damp jungle. But if Joe invests 1,000 bananas and earns compound interest over time, the same engine works for him. His investment grows, then the growth itself earns more growth, and over years, the curve bends upward. The hack is simple. If you are paying interest, kill it fast. If you are earning interest, leave it alone, feed it, and give it time. Joe notices something weird. His grandparents talk about movie tickets that cost pocket change. His parents remember when houses were a fraction of today's prices. That's inflation. Inflation is when the value of each banana falls over time. The number on the bill hasn't changed, but what it can buy has shrunk. It happens for a bunch of reasons, like too much money chasing too few goods, supply chain problems, everyone expecting prices to go up, which becomes self-fulfilling. A little inflation, around 2% per year, is considered normal. The economy likes a small, steady nudge forward. But when inflation spikes, savings get wrecked. Wages lag behind. Joe feels poorer even if his paycheck number hasn't moved. When inflation gets spicy, governments and central banks usually try to cool things down by raising interest rates. Higher interest rates mean borrowing becomes more expensive, people and businesses borrow less, spending slows down, demand drops. That slowdown can help bring inflation back down, but it can also push the economy to our next character, the recession. A recession is when the economy shrinks for at least 2 quarters, 6 months of decline. On the ground, for Joe, that looks like job cuts or hiring freezes, companies trimming costs, canceled projects, people cutting back on non-essential spending. Recessions can be triggered by high interest rates, global crises like wars or pandemics, or just the natural up and down cycle of the economy. They hurt, they're scary, but they're also normal. Think of a recession as the economy's version of pruning. It cuts back excess, forces weak businesses to adapt or fail, makes people and companies rethink their spending. It's painful, especially for people like Joe who lose jobs or see their investments drop. But historically, recessions have been temporary. After the winter comes spring. Growth resumes, often from a healthier base. For investors, recessions are also times when prices of assets fall. Future returns can be higher if you keep buying. Joe doesn't have to like recessions, he just has to know they're part of the game, not the end of the world. Next, Joe wants a car loan or a mortgage. Suddenly, people care about his credit score. A credit score is a 3-digit number, usually from 300 to 850, that basically says, how likely is this person to pay us back on time? It's a trust score. A score over around 750 tells lenders, this person is a credible adult. You can probably lend bananas without losing sleep. The score comes from a few ingredients. Payment history, do you pay on time? This is the big one. Credit utilization, how much of your available credit are you using? Credit age, how long you've had accounts. Credit mix, types of credit, cards, loans. And new credit, how often you apply for new stuff. To improve his score, Joe doesn't need hacks, he needs boring consistency. Always pay at least the required amount before the due date. Keep utilization fairly low, ideally well under maxing out cards. Don't constantly open and close accounts. Over time, that 3-digit number rises. Higher score means cheaper interest rates on loans. Cheaper interest rates means more bananas saved over a lifetime. Joe looks at a piece of paper with a number on it and asks, why does everyone agree this is worth food, rent, and Netflix? Because money is a shared story. The paper itself isn't valuable. The digits in Joe's bank app aren't magical. Money works because everyone agrees these numbers represent value, governments back the currency, central banks manage how much of it exists. If a country prints way too much, you get extreme inflation and the story breaks. The bananas go worthless. Money isn't real like a chair is real, but the story is real enough to run entire civilizations. Joe doesn't need to worship money, he just needs to understand. Money is a tool powered by shared belief.
What matters is what he does with it. Now Joe knows. Taxes will take a slice, banks are middlemen, not magic, interest can be friend or enemy, inflation quietly shrinks savings, recessions show up now and then, his credit score affects borrowing costs, money is a useful shared story. So what now? He has two choices: save everything and let inflation eat it, or invest and let his bananas work. Investing is trading bananas today for the chance of more bananas tomorrow. Yes, investing carries risk. Prices go up and down, companies fail, but never investing guarantees inflation steals from him every year. The real long-term danger isn't investing and losing everything if he's diversified, it's sitting in cash and quietly falling behind. Joe's main options: stocks, tiny ownership slices of companies; bonds, lending to governments or companies in return for interest; funds, baskets of many stocks and/or bonds, like index funds and ETFs; real estate, owning property, directly or through funds. Wealthy people typically aren't magic. They're patient. They're diversified. They use compound growth over decades. They don't rely on luck. They rely on time and consistent investing. Joe doesn't need to become a Wall Street wizard. A simple, diversified strategy can work just fine. Here are 3 powerful ideas Joe adds to his toolbox. 1. Good debt versus bad debt. Bad debt, high-interest stuff for things that drop in value, like credit cards for random junk. Good or strategic debt, lower-interest borrowing tied to assets or income, like a reasonable mortgage, student loans for high-return skills, or business loans with a solid plan. Joe's rule: kill bad debt fast, use good debt carefully, and only when the math makes sense. Emergency fund. Before going full send on investing, Joe keeps 3 to 6 months of expenses in cash. This stops him from selling investments at the worst times or swiping high-interest cards for every surprise. Dollar cost averaging. Instead of trying to guess the perfect day to buy, Joe just invests a fixed amount every month, whether the market is up, down, or sideways. Sometimes he buys when things are expensive, sometimes when they're cheap. Over time, he gets an average price and avoids emotional gambling. Joe notices something weird. Some rocks, gold, are considered valuable. Some bags with logos cost more than rent. A doctor or lawyer gets paid more than a part-time cashier. Why? Because value is perception plus usefulness. If enough people believe something is valuable and it solves a real problem, they will trade a lot of bananas for it. People pay doctors because health is valuable. They pay for iPhones because communication, status, and ease are valuable. They pay lawyers because not going to jail is very valuable. For Joe, this means the more real value he can provide to others, and the rarer that value is, the more bananas he can earn. Money flows toward value. Finally, the most important asset Joe will ever have: time. Time is more powerful than income, more powerful than stock tips, more powerful than the perfect investment. Time lets skills stack, careers advance, credit scores heal, investments compound. If Joe starts investing small amounts in his 20s or 30s and stays consistent, time can turn average contributions into serious wealth. If he starts later in life, time is shorter but still extremely valuable. It just means he might have to invest more per month, work a bit longer, be more deliberate and focused. Time can't be bought back, but it can be used wisely. Every month Joe spends saying, "I'll learn this later," is a month he could have had compound growth working quietly for him. Let's zoom out. Joe now understands taxes, the cost of civilization; banks, middlemen, not magic safes; interest, dangerous when he owes it, powerful when he earns it; inflation, slow banana rot; recessions, painful but temporary winters; credit score, his trust rating; currency, a shared story regulated by governments and central banks; investing, trading bananas today for more tomorrow; value, what people pay for; time, the engine that makes everything work. So, what's Joe's plan?
Pay his taxes, but use what's left wisely. Use banks for safety and convenience, not for get-rich returns. Destroy bad high-interest debt. Build an emergency fund. Protect his credit score with on-time payments and low utilization. Invest consistently in diversified funds to beat inflation over time. Use dollar cost averaging instead of trying to time the market. Focus his career on providing more value so more bananas naturally flow in. Start early, stay invested, and give compounding decades to cook. That's it. No secret handshake, no cheat code, just understanding how the money jungle actually works and playing the game on purpose. If this helped untangle the money mess in your head, drop a banana in the comments so the algorithm monkeys know this kind of content should spread. Tell me 3 things. Which part confused you the most before this video? Taxes, banks, credit, or investing? One money mistake you're going to stop making, and the next money habit you're going to start: paying debt, building a buffer, or investing monthly. If you want to see how all this plays out in real life, the next video you should watch is, if I started investing in 2026, this is exactly what I'd do. In that one, we take these ideas and turn them into a step-by-step investing plan you can literally copy and paste into your own life. Click that next and start turning confused bananas into a calm, growing money forest.